Welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We are absolutely thrilled to dive deep into the glamorous, treacherous, and endlessly captivating world of Los Angeles fashion. Today, we are unpacking the explosive revelations slated for Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let us explore the profound shifts about to rock the foundation of Forrester Creations. The atmosphere within the glittering corridors of Forrester Creations has grown increasingly toxic, suffocating under the heavy weight of executive hubris and unresolved familial resentment. The tension that has been simmering beneath the surface is finally reaching a boiling point, threatening to shatter the delicate peace that has tenuously held the Forrester and Logan families together. At the very epicenter of this impending cataclysm is Hope Logan Spencer, a woman who has finally reached her absolute breaking point. For months, Hope has endured a relentless campaign of marginalization, watching helplessly as her life's work, the Hope for the Future line, has been repeatedly sidelined, paused, and treated as an expendable afterthought by Steffy Forrester Finnegan. The psychological toll of this constant condescension has fundamentally altered Hope's perspective, transforming her from a patient, accommodating team player into a radicalized force ready to detonate a corporate bomb. Steffy's leadership style has evolved into a dangerous form of authoritarianism, driven by an unwavering belief in her own infallibility. When Steffy dismissively paused the Hope for the Future line yet again, prioritizing Eric Forster's couture collection, she did so with a chilling lack of empathy. Her condescending challenge to Hope, daring her to retaliate with a flippant attitude, was the fatal miscalculation that ignited this current crisis. Steffy operates under the dangerous assumption that Hope is entirely dependent on Forrester Creations, completely underestimating the depth of Hope's frustration and the viable alternatives that are currently presenting themselves. Steffy's arrogance has blinded her to the very real possibility that she's actively driving away one of the company's most valuable assets, all in the name of asserting her dominance and prioritizing the Forrester name over Logan contributions. However, Hope is no longer the passive victim in this corporate chess game. The tantalizing offer from Liam Spencer and Katie Logan Spencer to join their newly minted, wildly successful Logan fashion brand is sitting right in front of her, offering a seductive escape from the oppressive environment at Forrester Creations. Liam has masterfully orchestrated a golden parachute for Hope, presenting her with an opportunity to shine in an environment where she would be celebrated rather than merely tolerated. Yet, despite the immense appeal of the Logan offer, Hope is acutely aware of the inherent risks involved. Defecting to a rival company, especially one run by her own family members who are currently embroiled in a bitter design dispute with the Forresters, would be a declaration of absolute war. It is a terrifying leap into the unknown, and while Hope is seriously considering it, she has also begun to formulate an even more audacious plan. Instead of simply abandoning the empire she helped build, Hope is contemplating a hostile takeover from within, and she knows exactly who needs to lead the charge. Hope has turned her attention to her mother, Brooke Logan Forrester, recognizing that the only way to truly neutralize Steffy's tyrannical reign is to strip her of her power. Brooke has dedicated decades of her life to the success of Forrester Creations, contributing her business acumen, her chemical formulas, and her undeniable star power to the brand's global dominance. Yet, despite her monumental contributions, Brooke frequently finds herself marginalized, disrespected, and relegated to a secondary status by the Forrester executives, particularly Steffy. Hope is now actively exploiting this historical injustice, pushing her mother to fight for the respect and authority she fundamentally deserves. The conversation between mother and daughter is poised to be a masterclass in emotional manipulation and righteous indignation. Hope is strategically planting the seeds of rebellion in Brooke's mind, urging her to target the ultimate prize, the co-CEO seat currently occupied by Steffy. Hope knows that if Brooke were to seize control of the company, the Hope for the Future line would not only be reinstated, but elevated to its rightful place of prominence. This is no longer just about fashion. It is about reclaiming the Logan family's dignity within an institution that has systematically attempted to erase their influence. Brooke is now faced with a monumental decision that could alter the trajectory of her entire life. She must weigh her deep-seated ambition and her fierce maternal instinct to protect her daughter against the terrifying prospect of destroying her marriage to Ridge Forrester. The historical precedent for this kind of conflict is deeply troubling for Brooke. Every time the tension between the Logans and the Forresters reaches a fever pitch, particularly concerning the eternal rivalry between Hope and Steffi, Ridge has a documented pattern of retreating. His historical tendency to run back to Taylor Hayes whenever his marriage to Brooke becomes too complicated is a ghost that constantly haunts Brooke's subconscious. By launching a direct assault on Steffi's executive position, Brooke knows she would be placing an unbearable strain on Ridge, forcing him to choose between his wife and his daughter. Yet, the sting of Steffi's disrespect and the pain of watching Hope suffer may finally be enough to push Brooke past her fear, igniting a corporate civil war that could tear the family dynasty apart forever. As these machinations unfold in the shadows, Carter Walton finds himself thrust into the unenviable position of the tragic prophet. Carter is a man who understands the intricate, fragile ecosystem of Forrester Creations better than anyone else. He sees the chessboard from a highly elevated vantage point, and he is acutely aware of the devastating consequences that Steffi's hubris is about to unleash. Carter knows about Hope's extreme frustration, and he is likely aware of the very real threat of her defecting to the Logan brand. Caught in the agonizing middle ground between his loyalty to the company and his profound understanding of human nature, Carter decides to stage a crucial intervention. He sits down with Ridge and Steffi in the executive office, delivering a dire, unvarnished warning about the destructive path they are currently walking. Carter's warning is not merely a theoretical exercise. It is grounded in the brutal history of the company. He explicitly reminds Ridge and Steffi that pushing Hope too far has historically resulted in catastrophic blowback. Carter himself was intimately involved in a past corporate coup that completely upended the power dynamics at Forrester Creations, an event that was triggered by similar feelings of marginalization and disrespect. He looks Steffi directly in the eye, attempting to pierce through her armor of arrogance, warning her that her current behavior is actively recreating the exact conditions that led to that previous disaster. Carter emphasizes a fundamental truth of the corporate world, an environment where employees feel genuinely valued, respected, and heard is far more powerful than financial compensation alone. If Steffi continues to treat Hope like a disposable subordinate, she will lose her, and the resulting fallout will cripple the company's future. Ridge Forrester is forced to sit and absorb Carter's grim prophecy, and for the first time, the blinders seem to be slipping from his eyes. Ridge has spent years enabling Steffi's worst impulses, turning a blind eye to her condescension under the guise of supporting his daughter's leadership. However, as Carter lays out the stark reality of the situation, Ridge is struck by a terrifying epiphany. He realizes that in his desperate attempt to empower Steffi, he has inadvertently created an executive monster, a leader who lacks the emotional intelligence and diplomatic grace necessary to maintain a unified company. Ridge is now trapped in a psychological paralysis, torn between his paternal loyalty to Steffi and his desperate need to prevent his wife and stepdaughter from burning the company to the ground. The question remains, will Ridge actually take decisive action to curb Steffi's power, or will his historical passivity allow the disaster to unfold exactly as Carter predicted? While the executive suites are consumed by these high-stakes power struggles, a deeply personal and equally terrifying drama is unfolding in the lower echelons of the company. Melissa Dillon, a young woman desperately trying to outrun a shadowed past, is experiencing a dizzying whiplash of fortune. On one hand, Dillon is handed a massive professional lifeline when she is officially offered the position of assistant to Daphne Rose Walton. For someone who has been living in constant fear of losing her job and ending up sleeping in her car again, this promotion represents a beacon of hope and stability. It is an opportunity to anchor herself within the company, to prove her worth, and to build a sustainable future. However, this professional triumph is immediately poisoned by the sinister arrival of Remy Price. Remy is not just a ghost from Dylan's past. He is the architect of her current nightmare. Having previously helped Dylan secure her former position as an art teacher, Remy has now arrived at Forrester Creations to collect on that debt. He has cornered Dylan with a vicious, claustrophobic blackmail scheme, threatening to expose her dark secrets to the Forrester family if she refuses to do his bidding. Remy's presence transforms Dylan's new job from a sanctuary into a prison. Every step she takes, every task she performs for Daphne, is overshadowed by the terrifying knowledge that Remy holds the power to destroy her life with a single whispered revelation. Dylan is paralyzed by fear, forced to navigate the complexities of her new role while simultaneously acting as a pawn in Remy's twisted game. The dynamic between Dylan and Daphne is further complicated by Daphne's own profound psychological turmoil. Daphne is currently drowning in the agonizing grief of severe infertility, a trauma that is slowly eroding her mental stability and driving her to make unpredictable, desperate decisions. As Dylan steps into the role of her assistant, she is entering the orbit of a woman who is fundamentally broken. I cannot help but wonder if this proximity will forge a deep, empathetic bond between the two women, or if Daphne's volatility will simply add another layer of danger to Dylan's already precarious existence. Daphne has recently made a highly intriguing and dangerous offer to Dylan, an offer born of desperation that could either provide Dylan with an escape route from Remy's blackmail or pull her even deeper into a vortex of chaos. The intersection of Dylan's terror, Remy's malicious intent, and Daphne's profound sorrow creates a highly combustible subplot that threatens to bleed into the larger corporate narrative. Remy's lingering obsession with Electra Forrester, despite his proclaimed feelings for Deke Sharp, indicates that his machinations will not be confined to tormenting Dylan. He is a chaotic variable injected into an already unstable ecosystem, and his actions are bound to have far-reaching consequences for everyone involved. As Dylan tries to balance the demands of her new boss with the terrifying ultimatums of her blackmailer, she is walking a tightrope over a bottomless abyss, knowing that one wrong move will cost her everything she has fought so hard to achieve. As we look toward the explosive events of Thursday, May 7th, the landscape of the bold and the beautiful is primed for a seismic shift. The battle lines are being drawn with brutal clarity. Hope Logan Spencer is sharpening her weapons, preparing to either abandon the Forrester empire or conquer it from within alongside her mother. Brooke Logan Forrester is standing at the precipice of a monumental decision, weighing her fierce ambition against the survival of her marriage. Steffi Forrester Finnegan remains stubbornly entrenched in her arrogance, completely oblivious to the rebellion brewing right beneath her feet, while Ridge Forrester watches in paralyzed horror as the family he loves tears itself apart. Carter Walton's prophetic warnings echo through the empty boardrooms, a chilling reminder that those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. And in the shadows, Melissa Dillon fights for her very survival against a monster from her past, while Daphne Rose Walton spirals further into the darkness of her own grief. The drama is intoxicating. The stakes have never been higher, and the fallout from these impending collisions will undoubtedly change the lives of these iconic characters forever. We will be watching every